Please like and comment your opinion. What would you do if you were trapped in this situation? Drop your thoughts below. The whispered threat sliced through the silence like a blade. Stay still, little plaything. The voice belonged to someone who'd never been told no in his entire privileged life. It reverberated through the dim corners of the Cornelius Wing Library, where centuries-old books lined shelves that stretched toward vaulted ceilings. The crash of falling volumes echoed like thunder in an empty cathedral, heavy, ominous, final. Harper Sinclair pressed her back against the cold metal shelving. At 26, she'd already lived a lifetime most people couldn't imagine. As a literature teacher at the prestigious Whitmore Academy, she was supposed to be grading essays and discussing symbolism in classic novels. Instead, she found herself cornered like an animal, trapped between towering bookshelves in a section where the overhead fluorescent lights had mysteriously stopped working weeks ago. Her hunter stood blocking the only exit. Nathaniel Blackwood. The name itself carried weight at Whitmore, son of the principal, heir to a fortune that could buy small countries, and at 18 years old, already a master manipulator who'd learned corruption from the cradle. He stood 6'1", his athletic frame filling out the burgundy and white Whitmore Academy varsity jacket perfectly. The letterman jacket, maroon with cream-colored leather sleeves and a bold H emblazoned on the chest, marked him as royalty in this world of privileged youth. Underneath, a simple gray t-shirt and fitted jeans completed the all-American athlete look. His tousled brown hair had that deliberately careless style that probably took 30 minutes each morning. An expensive watch caught what little light penetrated this dark corner. But it was his eyes that told the real story. Cold. Calculating. Blue as a winter sky and just as merciless. They were the eyes of someone who'd watched freshman girls look away in terror as he passed them in hallways. Eyes that had witnessed things no one should see and had enjoyed every moment. I warned you about staying late, Miss Sinclair. He took a step closer, each movement deliberate, predatory. My father departed the premises an hour ago. The security personnel at the main gate are enjoying an unscheduled break. It's just you and me now. Harper's spine met the unforgiving metal of the bookshelf. The antique wall clock, one of those ornate pieces that had probably hung in this library for 100 years, showed 7:47 p.m. The library's posted hours said it remained open until 9. But today, through a remarkable coincidence, it had closed early. How convenient. Her fingers tightened around her leather briefcase. Inside that innocuous-looking bag was equipment worth more than her annual teaching salary. Equipment that was currently recording every word, every threat, every confession. Nathaniel, I need to leave. Her voice remained steady despite the adrenaline flooding her system. His laugh could have frozen water. It was a sound completely divorced from any genuine emotion, the laugh of someone who'd learned to mimic human responses without actually feeling them. Leave? He savored the word like expensive wine. But our private tutoring session is only just beginning, Miss Sinclair. The musty scent of aging paper mixed with something sharper, fear, yes, but also the predatory anticipation rolling off Nathaniel in waves. His cologne was expensive, probably something with a French name that cost more than Harper's monthly rent. Neither of them knew that in exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds, everything they thought they understood about power and justice would shatter like glass. Harper's fingers found the delicate bracelet on her wrist, twisting it in a gesture that might have looked nervous to an untrained observer. But the micro-movement activated a sophisticated piece of technology disguised as costume jewelry. Somewhere in a federal office, an alert pinged on a secure server. 3 other teachers had resigned from Whitmore Academy in the previous 24 months. The official explanations varied: family emergencies, better opportunities, personal reasons. All the usual corporate euphemisms for something's wrong but we're not saying what. Harper had seen their files, though. Real files, not the sanitized personnel records. She'd studied their photographs in FBI databases, memorized their cases, learned from their mistakes. Elena Martinez's photo still haunted her dreams. 24 years old, fresh out of graduate school, eyes bright with idealism and hope. She'd vanished without a trace. 14 months ago. One day she'd been teaching Shakespeare to sophomores. The next, gone. Like she'd never existed. You know something, Miss Sinclair? Nathaniel circled her slowly, a shark evaluating prey. You remind me of Martinez. She had that same defiant expression at first. His fingers trailed along the spine of a leather-bound first edition as he moved. But everyone eventually learns their proper place at Whitmore. Even the scholarship girls figure it out. The scholarship girls. That phrase again. Harper had heard it whispered in faculty meetings, seen it in coded emails, noticed the pattern. Pretty girls from working-class families. Quiet ones without connections. Daughters whose parents worked multiple jobs and saw Whitmore's generous scholarship program as a miracle, their child's ticket to colleges they could never afford. Girls who disappeared without anyone important enough to ask questions. Harper's breathing remained controlled, measured. FBI training combined with 3 months of deep undercover work. 3 months of watching Nathaniel and his friends select victims. 3 months of documenting patterns. 3 months of building a case that would bring down more than just one spoiled rich boy. Speaking of learning. Nathaniel extracted his phone from his jacket pocket, swiping through photos with practiced ease. When he turned the screen toward Harper, her stomach clenched despite years of training that had exposed her to humanity's worst impulses. The photograph showed a young woman in obvious distress. Elena Martinez. The background was unmistakable, the yacht club where Whitmore's board members held their private fundraisers. Events that never appeared on official calendars. Harper's hand moved almost imperceptibly, adjusting her briefcase strap. The motion activated a recording device hidden in the leather, evidence-grade equipment that was currently streaming encrypted data to federal servers where algorithms analyzed every word, every image, every confession. Delete that photograph. Harper's voice cut through the musty air like a blade. Nathaniel's smirk widened, revealing perfectly straight teeth courtesy of expensive orthodontics. Or what? You'll report me to my father? To a board of directors composed entirely of our family's donors and associates? He leaned closer, and Harper could smell the expensive cologne mixed with something else, excitement, arousal, the scent of a predator closing in for the kill. This isn't your working-class Chicago neighborhood, Miss Sinclair. This is Whitmore Academy. We don't follow rules here. We make them. The sound of approaching footsteps echoed through the library's main hall. Heavy footfalls, confident strides. 2 more figures emerged from behind the philosophy section, materializing from shadows like something out of a nightmare. Brandon Whitfield and Garrett Chen. Nathaniel's teammates on the varsity lacrosse team. Both built like walls, broad shoulders, thick necks, bodies conditioned for violence on the playing field and apparently everywhere else. Good evening, Miss Sinclair. Brandon's prep school accent dripped with false courtesy, the kind of politeness that masked contempt. Burning the midnight oil grading papers? Something like that, Harper replied, her tactical mind automatically cataloging their positions. Brandon at her 2 o'clock. Garrett at 10. Nathaniel directly ahead. Classic ambush formation. They'd done this before. Multiple times. If you're finding this story gripping, don't forget to subscribe. We dive deep into stories about justice, courage, and standing up to those who abuse their power. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that believes predators should face consequences. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to light, ***. Harper's fingers found the edge of her briefcase, pressing a concealed button through the leather. Inside, specialized equipment whirred to life, biometric locks, night vision cameras, encrypted cloud backup streaming directly to federal servers. Every word, Every threat, every confession being preserved in formats that would survive the most aggressive defense attorney. This wasn't just recording. This was building a prosecutorial case that would be airtight. You know what I genuinely appreciate about teachers like you? Nathaniel moved closer still, close enough that Harper could see his pupils were dilated. Not from darkness, but from excitement. His hands trembled slightly, anticipation, not fear. You arrive here believing you'll make a difference. Save the world one book discussion at a time. He paused, savoring the moment. But you're just entertainment for us. Temporary diversion. Is that what the other teachers were? Harper asked, buying time while her fingers found her phone in her pocket. 3 quick taps on the power button. The emergency signal she'd practiced countless times. Entertainment? The smart ones played along. Nathaniel shrugged, the casual gesture more chilling than any threat. The stubborn ones, well, international waters are remarkably forgiving. Amazing what happens when someone falls off a yacht at night. Harper felt Brandon and Garrett closing in from both sides, cutting off any escape route. The ancient library suddenly felt like a tomb. Dust motes danced in the few beams of light penetrating their darkened corner. Somewhere in the building's depths, the century-old heating system clanged and groaned. Tell me about the scholarship program, Harper said. It was a calculated risk. Every instinct screamed at her to fight, to run, to call for backup. But she needed more. Needed confessions that would survive appeals courts and corrupt judges. Nathaniel's cold eyes gleamed with something that might have been admiration in someone capable of that emotion. Curious little thing, aren't you? He produced a brass key from his pocket, old-fashioned, ornate. A master key that could unlock every door in Whitmore Academy. The scholarship program is brilliant, really. We recruit these grateful girls from nowhere. Give them world-class education, access to opportunities they'd never otherwise have. He let the sentence hang in the air, pregnant with implication. And in return? Harper prompted. In return, they understand their place. And the ones who don't. His smile never reached those icy eyes. They disappear when they refuse to cooperate. Disappear is such a harsh word, Garrett interjected from Harper's left. They transfer. Mental health issues, you understand. The stress of academic excellence can be overwhelming for someone not bred for this environment. Nathaniel's gaze traveled down Harper's body with possessive certainty. But you're different, aren't you? Older. Thinks she's smarter. That's going to make this so much more satisfying. Harper quoted softly, the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. Walt Whitman. Her handler would recognize the duress signal immediately. Poetry won't save you now, Garrett laughed, cracking his knuckles with deliberate menace. You should have taken the hint when we left those photographs in your desk drawer last week. The photographs. Images of Harper entering and leaving her apartment building. At the grocery store. At the gym. At coffee shops. They'd been surveilling her, convinced they were the hunters. They had no idea she'd documented every single photograph, traced the metadata, built a timeline of stalking behavior that prosecutors would devour. Here's what's going to happen, Nathaniel said, his voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried more threat than shouting ever could. You're going to set down that briefcase. You're going to come with us to the special collections room, the one without security cameras. And you're going to learn why every female teacher at Whitmore eventually understands her place. And if I refuse? Then tomorrow morning, there will be controlled substances in your vehicle. Child exploitation material on your computer. Whatever it takes to ensure you never teach again. He stepped so close Harper could feel his breath on her face. My father has destroyed careers for far less than defiance. Harper's mind was a filing cabinet, cataloging every detail. The security guard who'd been paid to take an extended break. The convenient camera malfunction in this section. The way Nathaniel's hands shook, not with fear, but anticipation. He'd done this before. Many times. You mentioned international waters earlier, Harper said, her voice calm despite her racing pulse. Tell me about the yacht parties. Something flickered in Nathaniel's eyes, pride, sick and twisted, but pride nonetheless. Oh, those are special occasions. Select donors get to meet our most grateful scholarship recipients. It's amazing how generous people become when properly entertained. Last summer alone, we raised $30 million for the new science wing. By trafficking students, Harper stated flatly. Such an ugly word. Nathaniel's face twisted in theatrical distaste. We prefer networking opportunities. He reached for her arm. Enough conversation. Time for your education to begin. Harper allowed him to grab her wrist, using the contact to gauge his strength, his balance. Strong but sloppy. Relying on size and privilege rather than actual technique. His grip told her everything she needed to know. He was accustomed to victims who froze in terror, who didn't fight back. One more question, Harper said as Brandon and Garrett moved to flank her. How many girls? This year or total? Nathaniel laughed, genuinely amused. Does it matter? They're all replaceable. Scholarships attract desperate people, Miss Sinclair. And desperate people disappear easily. The confession hung in the air like a death sentence. Harper felt the micro-recorder in her bracelet vibrating against her skin. Signal confirmed. Backup en route. But she needed more. Names, dates, evidence that would destroy not just these 3 boys, but the entire network protecting them. Show me, she whispered. Nathaniel's eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed in suspicion. Show you what? Everything. The photographs, the lists, the yacht schedules. You want me to understand my place? Then show me exactly what that means. Brandon and Garrett exchanged uncertain glances. This wasn't following the script. Where was the fear? The begging? The tears? That usually came at this point. Interesting, Nathaniel mused. Maybe you're actually smarter than the others after all. He nodded to his friends. Hold her arms. I'll retrieve the portfolio from the old archives. Time for Miss Sinclair's complete education. As Brandon reached for her left arm and Garrett moved for her right, Harper took one last centering breath. The FBI tactical app on her phone had been recording everything, streaming encrypted footage to federal servers where algorithms were already analyzing voices, classifying crimes, preparing warrants. In the basement of the library, Special Agent Catherine Reeves and her tactical team were moving into position. Harper could almost hear their synchronized movements, the whisper of tactical gear, the quiet clicks of weapons being readied. But Harper couldn't wait for backup. Not when Nathaniel was walking toward the restricted archives, where she suspected evidence of dozens of victims was hidden. Evidence that could disappear forever if she didn't act now. Brandon's hand closed around her bicep. Don't struggle. It only makes things worse. Harper smiled then. Not a victim's smile. Not a teacher's smile. The smile of a federal agent who'd been waiting 3 months for this exact moment. Who said anything about struggling? The next 5 seconds unfolded with the precision of a choreographed dance. Harper dropped her briefcase, using Brandon's grip as a pivot point. Her knee drove into his solar plexus with enough force to lift him off his feet. As he doubled over, gasping for air that wouldn't come, she spun toward Garrett. His expression of shock lasted exactly as long as it took for her palm strike to connect with his nose. Cartilage crunched. Blood sprayed across ancient books. He stumbled backward, hands flying to his face. Nathaniel turned at the sounds of struggle, his father's master key still in his hand. For the first time in his privileged life, fear flickered across his features. You stupid, he started. Special Agent Harper Sinclair, FBI, she interrupted, her voice carrying authority that made him take an involuntary step backward. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit sex trafficking, kidnapping, and violation of federal civil rights laws. You have the right to remain silent. She pulled her badge from inside her blazer. The gold shield caught the dim light. And that phone call you're about to make to your father? Harper continued. I'd recommend against it. We arrested Richard Blackwood 20 minutes ago at the donors' dinner. Along with Judge Morrison, Chairman Walsh, and 15 other members of your trafficking ring. The master key fell from Nathaniel's nerveless fingers, clattering against the hardwood floor. Behind Harper, Brandon attempted to struggle. To his feet, only to freeze as red laser dots appeared on his chest, his arms, his forehead. The library suddenly filled with federal agents in tactical gear, weapons drawn, faces hidden behind night vision goggles, moving with the synchronized precision of operators who trained for exactly this scenario. No, Nathaniel whispered, his perfect prep school world collapsing around him. This isn't possible. You're just a teacher. Just a teacher looking for her sister, Harper finished, and now her professional composure cracked, just slightly. Melissa Sinclair. Graduated from Thornfield Prep 3 years ago with a full scholarship to study pre-med, disappeared 2 weeks before college orientation. Last seen at a Whitmore Academy networking event on Richard Blackwood's yacht. Recognition dawned in Nathaniel's eyes, followed by something Harper hadn't expected, genuine fear. Bone-deep terror that made him stumble backward until he hit the philosophy section. Melissa, he breathed. Oh God, she was your. Where is she? Harper stepped forward, and now the agent facade was gone, replaced by a sister who'd spent 3 years not knowing if her little sister was alive or dead. Where is my sister? Special Agent Catherine Reeves materialized beside Harper, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. Harper, we need to follow protocol. He'll lawyer up any second now. But Nathaniel was shaking his head, tears streaming down his face, the first genuine emotion Harper had seen from him. I didn't know, he sobbed. I swear I didn't know what they did with the ones who fought back. Dad just said they were handled. Handled? Harper's voice could have cut steel. What does that mean? The resistant ones went to special parties. International ones. After that. He slumped against the bookshelf, a puppet with cut strings. After that, they never came back. Brandon groaned from the floor, spitting blood. Shut up, Nate. Don't say another word. Or what? Nathaniel's laugh bordered on hysteria. They'll kill me? They're going to kill me anyway when they find out I got caught. You don't understand. None of you understand how deep this goes. Catherine pulled out her tactical tablet, fingers flying across the screen. The FBI's specialized anti-trafficking software was already parsing terabytes of data seized from Richard Blackwood's home and office, financial records, encrypted communications, travel manifests. All being decoded and analyzed in real time. The application's AI algorithms were designed to identify patterns in human trafficking operations, cross-referencing names, dates, and locations with missing persons databases across 43 countries. Harper, you need to see this, Catherine said, her face paling as data populate. Ed the screen. The display showed a complex web of connections spanning the entire country. Elite prep schools, Thornfield, Whitmore, Exeter, Dalton, dozens more. Each school had its scholarship program. Each had missing girls. Each had connections to the same network of yacht clubs, private jets, and offshore accounts. 47 confirmed victims over the past decade, Catherine read. But there's a subcategory here marked as specials. Harper snatched the tablet, scrolling frantically until she found it. Melissa Sinclair. Status, Special Collection. Location, Compound 7. Last update, 6 months ago. She's alive, Harper whispered. Then louder, grabbing Nathaniel by his varsity jacket collar. She's alive. Where is Compound 7? I don't know. Nate sobbed. Only the inner circle knows compound locations. My father, Judge Morrison, maybe 5 others. They compartmentalized everything after some FBI agent almost caught them 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Right when Melissa disappeared. Harper's mind raced, pieces of a horrific puzzle clicking into place. Her sister hadn't been a random victim. She'd been targeted because she was getting too close to the truth. Your sister was investigating us, Nathaniel continued, words tumbling out in desperation. She wasn't really pre-med. She was some kind of journalist or detective or something. Dad found out. Said she had to be contained permanently. Harper's world tilted on its axis. Melissa had been investigating the trafficking ring. Her brilliant, justice-driven little sister had walked into the lion's den alone and paid the price. Ma'am, a young agent appeared in the doorway, breathless. We've got something. Richard Blackwood is attempting to negotiate a deal. Says he'll give us everything, locations, names, the whole network, in exchange for witness protection. Witness protection? Brandon laughed bitterly from the floor despite his broken nose. He really thinks he can rat out the consortium and live? They've got people everywhere. Judges, senators, CIA, probably even. Garrett kicked him hard, cutting off the sentence. Harper processed this new information rapidly. The consortium. A name that suggested something far more organized and powerful than even the FBI had suspected. Take me to Blackwood, Harper demanded. Harper, you're too emotionally involved, Catherine started. That's my sister. The words ripped from Harper's throat. 3 years, Catherine. 3 years I've wondered if she was dead or alive. 3 years I've worked every trafficking case, learned every technique, all for this moment. I'm seeing this through. Catherine studied her partner's face, saw the iron will beneath the pain, and nodded. Escort the suspects out. Full protective custody. If this consortium is real, they're all dead men walking. As agents hauled the 3 young men away in handcuffs, Nathaniel managed one last look at Harper. Your sister was brave, he said quietly. Braver than any of us. I'm sorry. Harper felt no satisfaction watching them leave. Only a burning need for answers that had consumed her for 3 years. The interrogation room at the federal building was sterile, white walls, fluorescent lights, cameras in every corner. Richard Blackwood sat across from Harper and Catherine, his expensive suit wrinkled, his powerful facade crumbled. The man who'd terrorized a generation of students now looked like what he was, a frightened predator finally caught. Melissa Sinclair, Harper said without preamble. Where is she? Richard's eyes widened in recognition. You're her sister. A pause. God, you look just like her when he caught himself. When she what? When she confronted me 3 years ago. Came to my office with evidence. Photos, documents, recordings. Said she was going to the FBI, the media, everyone. He laughed bitterly. 22 years old and absolutely fearless. I offered her money. Threatened her family. You. Nothing worked. Harper's hands clenched beneath the table. So you had her kidnapped. I made a call. The consortium handled it. They have protocols for threats like her. He leaned forward. But I can get her back. All of them. The compounds, the auction houses, the training facilities. I'll give you everything. But I need protection. Not just from prosecution, from them. Start talking, Catherine ordered. Over the next 4 hours, Richard Blackwood laid out a criminal enterprise that spanned continents and generations. The scholarship programs were recruitment pipelines. The yacht parties were testing grounds. Girls who showed potential, through beauty, intelligence, or desperation, were moved up the chain. Some became high-end escorts for political blackmail. Others were sold to private collectors. The special ones who fought back or knew too much were kept in compounds, used to train new victims in compliance. Compound 7 is out. Side Bucharest, Richard finally admitted. Romania. Converted Cold War facility. Maybe 15 to 20 women there, all considered flight risks or security threats. Your sister would be there. Harper stood abruptly, ready to mobilize every resource the FBI had. But Richard wasn't finished. There's something else. The consortium's board meeting is tomorrow night. Emergency session because of today's raids. They'll be deciding whether to liquidate all assets, including the compounds. Liquidate. Harper knew what that meant. No witnesses. No evidence. No survivors. Where? Catherine demanded. International waters. The yacht Prometheus. Owned by August Whitmore. Yes, that Whitmore, the one the Academy is named after. He's the real power. 130 years old. Impossible to prove he exists officially, but he's been running this trade since before your grandmother was born. Trafficking ring. It was an institution woven into the fabric of American elite society for over a century. 72 hours later, Harper stood on the deck of an FBI tactical vessel, watching the Romanian countryside pass by. The joint operation with Interpol had moved faster than any in Bureau history. Compound 7 had been real. A fortress of horror where 23 women had been held, some for years. Melissa was among them. The reunion had been everything and nothing like Harper imagined. Her sister was alive, but changed, thin, scarred, with eyes that had seen too much. But still fighting. Still documenting everything, even in captivity. She'd turned her cell into an archive, recording stories from other victims, memorizing names, dates, connections. I knew you'd come, Melissa had whispered into Harper's shoulder as they embraced. You always were the stubborn one. Now, as dawn broke over the Black Sea, Harper watched satellite feeds of simultaneous raids across 12 countries. The Prometheus had been intercepted. August Whitmore, or whatever his real name was, had been found in a medical pod that looked like science fiction, tubes and wires keeping his ancient body functional while he traded in young lives. Catherine appeared beside her. Final count, 237 arrests. 412 victims recovered. 600 million in assets frozen. Harper, we did it. But Harper was looking at another message on her phone. An encrypted file that had appeared in her personal account. Sender unknown. She opened it to find a list of names, judges, politicians, CEOs, even bureau personnel. At the bottom, a simple message. Asterisk level 1 complete. 6 levels remain. They know who you are now, Agent Sinclair. Both of you, asterisk. Harper showed Catherine the message. They stood in silence, processing the implications. The consortium wasn't destroyed. They'd only scratched the surface. And now Harper and Melissa were marked. What do we do? Catherine asked. Harper thought of her sister in the bureau safe house. Of all the girls still missing. Of Nathaniel Blackwood's tears and the ancient evil they'd glimpsed in Whitmore's operation. We keep going, Harper said. Level by level. No matter how deep it goes. Her phone buzzed. A photo appeared, scholarship girls at an unfamiliar prep school, all smiling at orientation. At the frame's edge, barely visible, someone had drawn a symbol. The same one branded on Compound 7 victims. The game was far from over. If anything, it had just begun. Harper looked out at the sunrise, her sister's words echoing in her mind. You always were the stubborn one. Every empire has layers, Harper whispered to the dawn. And we've only just found the first.